Americans, before we argue about parties and programs, before we trade slogans like coins, we must remember what a nation is. A nation is not an app, not an algorithm, not a market segment, not a crowd to be managed. A nation is a people, bound together by conscience, by memory, and by promise. And when God gives a special commission, he looks to have it strictly observed in every article. Thus stands the cause between God and us. Thanks be to Jesus Christ, who grants mercy when nations return. We have been granted a generation with more power than any generation that ever walked this earth. We speak across oceans in an instant. We move wealth with a swipe. We can map the stars, splice the gene, and summon the knowledge of ages from a small glass screen. Yet with all this power, we are in danger of losing the one thing that makes power safe: covenant. Covenant is not a word for museums. Covenant is the living bond between a people and the Lord of hosts. The agreement that we will not worship our pleasures and profits and call it freedom. Covenant means we are entered into work that is bigger than personal ambition. It means we do not merely demand rights. We accept duties. It means we do not merely want blessings. We submit to the terms of blessing. If we shall neglect the observation of the articles we have proclaimed, if we shall fail to embrace the present work with our God and instead prosecute our carnal intentions, seeking great things for ourselves alone, then the Lord will surely make us know the price of the breach of such a covenant. In a modern age, that price may not arrive as thunder from the clouds. It may arrive as a slow corrosion of trust, the collapse of family, the narcotic of despair, the cold efficiency of systems that have no love, and the quiet surrender of a people who forget they were made for more than consumption. Now, the only way to avoid this shipwreck and to provide for our posterity is not to become cleverer in excuses, but to become truer in obedience, to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. This counsel is not ancient poetry. It is national survival. For this end, we must be knit together in this work as one people. We must entertain each other in brotherly affection. We must be willing to abridge ourselves of our superfluities for the supply of others' necessities. We must uphold a familiar commerce together, not the commerce of exploitation, but the commerce of neighborliness and meekness, gentleness, patience, and liberality. We must delight in each other, make others' conditions our own, rejoice together, mourn together, labor together, and suffer together. Always having before our eyes our commission and community in the work as members of the same body. This is not weakness. This is the definition of strength under discipline. This is the strength that built towns and farms, raised churches and schools, bridged rivers, and defended liberty without losing the soul of liberty. It is the strength that remembers that no man is superior by title, no woman inferior by status, and no child disposable by convenience. It is the strength that bows before Jesus Christ, the King, who makes servants into sons and strangers into brethren. For we must consider that we shall be as a city upon a hill. The eyes of all people are upon us. And in the 21st century, those eyes are not only across seas, they are in every camera, every headline, every feed. And if we shall deal falsely with our God in this work we have undertaken, if we cause him to withdraw his present help from us, we shall be made a story and a byword through the world. A wealthy nation that could not govern itself, a strong nation that could not restrain itself, a free nation that forgot what freedom was for. Beloved, there is now set before us life and death, good and evil. Therefore, let us choose life, that we and our seed may live by obeying his voice and cleaving to him, for he is our life and our prosperity. I speak to you, Mr. President, Congress, and to my fellow citizens, both of this republic and those listening abroad. It is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against a painful truth and listen to the song of that siren until she transforms us into beasts. In our day, the siren does not always sing from a palace. Sometimes she sings from a studio, a boardroom, a lobby, or an endless scroll. She tells us that comfort is the same as peace, that entertainment is the same as joy, that slogans are the same as wisdom, and that truth can be edited and manipulated until it becomes harmless. Is this the part of wise men and women engaged in the great and arduous struggle for liberty in a new century? Are we so unwilling to be reconciled with reality that we must be deceived with a kiss? Are fleets and armies, debts and decrees, surveillance and censorship necessary to a work of love and reconciliation? Ask yourself how gracious receptions and polished speeches comport with warlike preparations against the conscience of the people, with the darkening of our land by addiction, trafficking, and the easy cruelty of those who profit from misery. We have tried argument. We have petitioned. We have remonstrated. We have supplicated. We have prostrated ourselves before institutions and have implored their interposition to arrest the tyrannical hands of bureaucrats and corruption itself. And what has been the fruit? Too often, our petitions have been slighted, our remonstrances answered with contempt, our concerns labeled extremism, our faith treated as a problem to be managed rather than a fire to be honored. In vain, after these things, may we indulge the fond hope of peace without principle. There is no longer any room for that kind of hope. If we wish to be free, free in speech, free in worship, free to raise our children, free to work and keep the fruit of our labor, then we must be willing to know the whole truth and to know the worst and to provide for it. I have but one lamp by which my feet are guided, and that is the lamp of experience. I know of no way of judging the future but by the past. And judging by the past, we must not deceive ourselves. Chains are not always forged in iron. In our age, they may be forged in dependence, in confusion, in curated lies, in debt that mortgages our grandchildren, and technologies that watch without mercy, and in ideologies that demand worship. We are told that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary as this age's machine. it's propaganda, it's profiteers, it's predators, it's manipulators. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed in spirit and totally distracted in mind? Will it be when every household is divided against itself, when every church is intimidated into silence, when every school is captured by woke ideologies, and every community hollowed out from within? Let us not, I beseech you, deceive ourselves. The battle, my friends, is not only to the strong, it is to the vigilant, it is to the active, and it is to the brave. And bravery in our time does not mean chaos in the street. It means courage in the home, courage in the ballot box, courage in the classroom, courage in the pew, and courage in the honest workplace, courage in the public square, courage to tell the truth when the truth costs. Forbid it, Almighty God, that we should purchase a temporary calm at the price of chains and slavery of the soul. Peace. Peace is a beautiful word, but there is no peace where there is no justice. No peace where there is no mercy. No peace where there is no humility before God. The war against conscience has already begun. The next gale that sweeps from the north or the south will bring to our ears the clash of resounding alarms, economic shocks, cultural shocks, foreign shocks, and technological shocks. Why stand here idle? And what is that gentleman wish? As for me and others who believe in what we know to be true, I do not ask for a nation without struggle. I ask for a nation with a spine. I ask for a people who will not surrender their inheritance for a moment of sedation. I ask for leaders who remember that the dignity of man comes not from the state, but from God. I ask for a republic that would rather endure hardship than become comfortable in dishonor. So I say to you in the language of this century and the language of our founding fathers, do not be betrayed with a kiss. Do not be lulled by the siren of managed decline. Let the lamp of experience guide us. Let the truth, however painful, be spoken. And let us choose with steady hearts liberty under God. So, to my countrymen, my brethren, my brothers and sisters of this great republic, we are the embodiment of America in the flesh. This is our nation. This is our republic. This is our call. Will we answer, or will we allow for the silence of our own iniquities, our own struggles, our own inability to take a stand for what we know to be true? I say no. This is the period for a new election of citizens to administer the executive government of the United States is not far distant. And the time has actually arrived when your thoughts must be employed in designating the person and the principles by which your welfare shall be directed. In such a moment, the greatest service a statesman can render is not flattery, but simple warning against the insidious wiles of foreign influence. I conjure you to believe me, the jealousy of a free people ought to be constantly awake. For history and experience prove that foreign influence is one of the most baneful foes of Republican government. But jealousy must be impartial, else it becomes the instrument of the very influence to be avoided. Instead of a defense against it, excessive partiality for one nation and excessive dislike of another cause those whom they actuate to see danger only on one side and to serve to veil and even second the arts of influence on the other. In this 21st century, foreign influence does not only arrive in envoys and treaties, it arrives in capital flows, supply chains, disinformation campaigns, and digital platforms that can shape what a nation sees, fears, and believes. If we are to remain a free people, we must remain a discerning people. The great rule of conduct for us in regard to foreign nations is to extend our commercial relations, to have with them as little political connection as possible. So far as we have already formed engagements, let them be fulfilled with perfect good faith. Here let us stop. Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, as well as the wider world, have a set of primary interests which to us have none, or a very remote relation. Therefore, she must be engaged in frequent controversies, the causes of which are essentially foreign to our concerns. Hence, it must be unwise in us to implicate ourselves by artificial ties in the ordinary vicissitudes of her politics, or the ordinary combinations and collisions of her friendships or enmities. Our detached and distant situation still invites and enables us to pursue a different course. We can choose peace or war as our interest, guided by justice, shall counsel. But we must never confuse noise for necessity, nor ambition for duty. And yet, my friends, there is a permanent alliance more dangerous than any treaty abroad. The permanent alliance at home between power and deceit. When the fury of party spirit becomes a religion, when patriotism is used as a mask for private gain, when the citizen is reduced to a data point, when honesty is treated as naivete, when the Constitution is praised in ceremony and violated in practice, then the Republic is not conquered by an enemy. It is conquered by a habit. I hold the maxim no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy. Let those engagements be observed in their genuine sense. Let government be comprehensible again. Let law be stable again. Let the citizen be treated as a moral creature again, not a consumer to be nudged. Let the family be protected as the first institution of liberty. Let the church be free to preach Christ without permission from Caesar. And let work be honored, and theft, whether in the alley or in the budget, be named for what it is. We must, in a word, recover a moral independence, because political independence cannot survive without it. We have drones, satellites, and markets, but if we do not have truth, we will only have tools, and tools in the hands of liars and deceivers become chains. So here, perhaps, I ought to stop. But a solicitude for your welfare, which cannot end, but with my life, and the apprehension of danger natural to that solicitude, urge me on an occasion like the present to offer to your solemn contemplation these sentiments. They will be offered with thee more freedom, as you can only see in them the disinterested warnings of a citizen who has no personal motive to bias his counsel beyond the hope that his country will remain worthy of its calling. Let us then steer clear of permanent alliances that trade our judgment for applause. Let us steer clear of permanent addictions that trade our families for false pleasure. Let us steer clear of permanent lies that trade our conscience for convenience. And let us, instead, bind ourselves again to the ancient, demanding, liberating path to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with our God. And if we do this, if we keep the unity of the Spirit in the bond of peace, then the Lord will be our God and delight to dwell among us as his own people. And then this nation will not merely claim to be a city upon a hill. It will shine by the grace of Jesus Christ as a people who choose liberty, who choose freedom, and who choose life. May God bless the United States of America. May God bless the states within her. May God bless the communities throughout her. May God bless the American man and women and the spirit of the American dream to live and to go forth, declaring and claiming divine providence for all and for justice throughout, sea to shining sea.